Alright boys, today we're taking a look at the Amyet S8. This is a budget dual motor e-bike with 1000 watts powered on each of the wheels at 48 volts that gives this thing crazy acceleration. This thing is also a pretty cheap bike, so we're going to be taking a look to see if the quality matches the performance on this thing. We're going to be doing a hill climb, a top speed test, a brake test, and a handling test, so that we can test all aspects of how this bike rides.
But before we get into all of that, I'm going to show you how to assemble this thing.
Let's get this thing opened up.
Like most e-bikes, the quickest way to get this thing out of the box is just to cut it open and tear open the side.
I'm gonna get some of this unwrapped. I highly recommend just having a trash bag and putting everything directly into here.
I'm going to start by removing all of this packaging so I can see what I'm actually working with. Now that it's mostly unpackaged, we're going to flip this thing upside down, put the front axle in, and line up these retaining clips with the slots. You need these because this is a dual motor bike. Before we put any weight on these wheels, we want to make sure they have air in them so we don't get a pinch flag. Our next step is to attach the handlebars. So I'm just going to be taking these 4 bolts out, lining up the handlebars, putting all 4 bolts back in, and then once I have a little bit of tension, I can rotate the bars back up and then tighten these down.
I just went through and adjusted all of the things on the handlebars because they did come in loose.
Make sure not to forget to plug in the front motor, and also make sure your front wheel is torqued on properly so that this does not come off when you're riding. Again, this is a dual motor, so it's going to have more force on the front wheel. The last step before we get this thing out for testing is putting these pedals on. Make sure you put the right one on the right side and the left on the left side. They are reverse threaded.
While this bike does come with a front fender, I'm not going to be putting it on because it only attaches in one point and it's probably going to flop around a lot like this while we ride. So I would rather just not put it on at all, personally. And this bike does come with this nice little tank case, so let me get this on the bike as well, because I do like that.
This free included carrying case is held on with 4 Velcro straps, 2 in the front and 2 in the back.
Before I get this thing out on the road, I'm gonna take this seat off and we're gonna take a look at the controller that's under here because I am very curious.
The seat is held on with 6 locking 10mm nuts, so you just need to remove these, 4 in the front as well as 2 in the back, and we can remove the seat.
Let's see what we got. Ooh, we actually have 2 full controllers in here. Check this out. So each one of these controllers is a 48 volts, 23 amps max. So the max you could pull out of this is 46 amps at 48 volts. This is a budget dual motor e-bike with 1000 watts powered on each of the wheels that gives this thing crazy acceleration. So we're going to be taking a look to see if the quality matches the performance on this thing. We're going to be doing a hill climb, a top speed test, a brake test, and a handling test. But let's waste no more time. Let's get straight into this video. Alright boys, this is our first real ride out on the Amyet S8. I have this thing up in the highest power mode along with it turned up in the settings. This bike features 2 1000 watt motors combined with 2 controllers that can output just over 1000 watts each and a 25 amp hour battery. A lot of cheap e-bikes claim high performance numbers, but this one seems to deliver a level of performance I haven't experienced on these cheaper 48 volt hub motor bikes. So we're going to be switching it over into dual motor with this B selector. We're going to be pinning it and see how accurate the speedo is compared to this. So this says 32, that says 30, 31 on that. So it's fairly accurate, but a little bit lower than what it claimed.
Okay, coming up here, we're going to be going into our hill climb. This is very steep. It is 0.7 miles and 300 feet of elevation. So we're going to wait until this car goes. We're going to try and hit that line over there at 15 miles an hour, and then we will pin it. So pin it, we're in dual motor mode. Let's see what this thing gets on our timed hill climb. Already, I can tell you that this thing is very torquey for a 48-volt bike. I must confess, this is my first dual motor bike that I've owned. It's not the first one I've ridden, but this is the first one that I have owned, and I'm liking it so far. This is pretty impressive. We're maintaining 26 up here. A lot of the other bikes that I test, I need to pedal alongside to keep them going, and yeah, we're still maintaining 20 miles an hour on this steepest bit. Some of the bikes that I've tried over here before get down to about 12 to 15, and that's even with pedaling. So it flattens back out here. We keep it pinned. We can see that we're getting a bunch of voltage sag because this is showing 2 bars on the battery, which it's not. It's just under load right now. Again, this part is steep and we're losing a little bit of steam. If I pedal a little bit, does it help it much? Not really. This thing's outputting enough power that you're not going to be doing a whole lot for these hill climbs. But we're still cruising at 25. I'm pretty impressed. This thing's got a ton of performance. Yeah, this thing costs $1,050, and if you use my coupon code, you'll save some more money off of it. So this thing did great. We're going to stop the timer there. And yeah, I'm super impressed with this thing's performance. Let's see how it does on a tight turn. Perfectly fine. And now that we've stopped, we can see the battery bar has gone all the way back up. Can we see voltage anywhere on here? Yes, so we are at 50 volts right now. I believe 52 volts is a full charge. With these dual motor bikes, you might have just heard, it's really easy to spin out the front tire. So I'm just going to hit it a little bit. That's a front wheel drive burnout. So we're going to bring it down this way, and we're going to take it down this curvy bit over here to test the performance and handling. And then we're going to be taking it out onto a dirt trail. And I got to mention the riding position is very comfortable for me. The seat is narrow enough that I can actually pedal comfortably. So coming into this turn, got to be careful of those dual motors so you don't spin them out and wipe yourself out. We pin it. This has got good acceleration, it really does. Okay, we are fully topped out. 32 on GPS and 35 on the Speedo. Yeah, the handling feels pretty good. It's pretty nimble. It's got a pretty short wheelbase, and these are 20x4 fat tires, so they will give you a little bit better acceleration than 26x4s. The brakes are feeling all right, but I gotta talk about that in a moment. If you notice, one of my brake levers is black, and the other one is red. So out on this dirt path, let's see how this thing handles. Yeah, the acceleration's really good on the dirt, and it feels decent as far as the suspension goes, but you can definitely feel the weight of the dual motors. I personally don't like off-roading with dual motors. That unsprung weight just feels crashy as it goes over the terrain, but really, this bike has no problems here. I think this bike will do pretty good in most steep climbing situations off-road, but I don't think that this thing is going to be a straight-up dirt bike like a Ceron or Talaria. This is still very much an e-bike, even though it is a more powerful one. But yeah, look at that acceleration even on dirt. And hopefully in my voice you can hear how much vibration is coming through the bike. This is a hard packed surface with loose gravel over the top, so it is not ideal for e-bikes, but it is great for dirt bikes and e-motos. Coming out of the forest, we're going to be testing our
0 to 20. So I'm going to lean forwards because these things like to burn out the front wheel. We're going to keep holding it. And that's 30. And keep in mind, I do these speed tests after we've climbed the hill, so that usually burns off a bit of power from these bikes. Okay, so we're going to come back over to here. That 0 to 20 is slightly uphill. This one is slightly downhill, so let's try that one more time. 3, 2, 1, go. A little bit of front wheel spin. We're going off my GPS, so 20. 30. Yeah, this is probably the fastest cheap bike that I've gotten the pleasure to ride so far. I will notice that there is like a little bit of shake coming from this bike traveling at speed. I don't know if you can see it in my hands, but like if I grip loosely on this one, see that? I don't know what that is. Let's pull over and take a look real quick. We do have turn signals, so let's pop that on and see what that looks like. Yeah, these turn signals do exist, but I wouldn't trust for people to actually see that. It's pretty dim. No turn signal on the front. Is our front wheel tight? Yeah, it is. I don't know what's going on up front. Oh yeah, another thing I need to mention is that these brakes are hydraulic, and I do appreciate that. Even though we only have 160 millimeter rotors, I'd like to see about 180 on those. But also, this one just didn't work at all when it came in. So I tried to bleed it, and then it started ejecting fluid from this hole. So I had an extra lever laying around from a set of Zoom brakes, so I just slapped that on. It seems to be working now. And honestly, that defect could happen to any bike, but it did happen to mine. All right, let's hop back on. We're going to do a little bit around the lake to get some more miles on it. Yeah, you definitely got to be gentle with these dual motor bikes. They will for sure burn out. All right, we got it pinned. Let's see how well it maintains its speed, climbing back up this little curvy hill bit. It's doing a lot better than some of the other bikes I've tested recently. Yeah, we're still maintaining 24 up this. That's a very good result. And we do have a car behind us, but we're gonna let him pass after we come through here. We're going to test some of the pedal assist settings. So in one thing I've noticed with this bike is that the pedal assist only activates the rear motor for some reason. But 1 brings us to 15, 2 brings us to 17. We're going up a hill now, but 3 brings you to like 20 something. All we need to know is that 1 gives us about 15, and each step above it gives us a couple more miles an hour. Turning it all the way back up, and we're going to be bombing it down this hill. Not super fast, because I don't fully trust these brakes, because 1 did explode on me already, but it is what it is. Do have a vehicle behind us, so we are gonna be doing this with some speed. You can definitely stand on this e-bike, no problem. Again, we see that the suspension is not amazing, but the handling feels great. And we're doing like 35 right now. 37. So far, what do I think about this bike? Well, I think that it delivers an incredible amount of performance for for the price that it is. And if you are interested in it, you should definitely check out my discount code. I do have some concerns about some of the build quality of it, but usually when you want a e-bike, you want performance, you want quality, and you want it cheap, but usually you gotta pick two. Can't have all three normally. Yeah, carving around the lake feels great on this thing. I really think this is one of the best performance budget options there is out there, but be prepared to have to work on this bike yourself a little bit. There are stuff you probably are going to need to tweak and fix on this bike. At least that's my experience. We're going to pop off the road for a second because I forgot to tighten my helmet strap on. So far, we've done 7 miles with a top speed of 38 and an average of 22. Our battery bar is still showing full, even though we are at 49 volts, which is not full anymore. Switch this over to single motor for a softer launch. Spin it around, flip it into dual motor, and let her rip. Yeah, if you want a cheap thrill, this bike might be for you. I really don't see how you could get much more performance out of a bike in this price range. We're getting about 35 miles an hour on throttle alone, an acceleration that is more in line with much more expensive bikes. And if you enjoy reviews like these, remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And I'd love to show you my adventures as this goes on and gets bigger. I got a ton of great videos coming in and a ton of reviews for you. So stay tuned. Yeah, I love 20x4 fat tires. And I do have to mention that we are voltage dropping down to 43 right now. And if I let go, we're going back up to almost 48. That being said, we are outputting 1,000 watts through 2 motors, so that is actually very accurate to the claim. When I check the controllers, each controller does 1,024 watts, I believe. So it actually does do 2 kilowatts on this cheap e-bike. And as you can see, we actually can pedal this thing pretty effectively. The seat narrows up here in the front so that there's enough room for your legs to actually move. It's not too wide. We just kicked it into dual motor as we were launching and immediately did a burnout. The burnouts are pretty fun, but you do have to be careful with them. But it is nice that you can switch back and forth easily right here. And I don't really know what the claimed range is on this bike, and depending on how you ride it will really change how far you can go with this thing. On single motor and pedal assist, I'm sure this bike can go very far, but right now we are showing what it can do on dual motor, full throttle, basically all the time. So far we're about 10 miles in, and even when we're holding the throttle wide open, we're only going down to about 44. I'm gonna signal that I'm going left. And now we are going into our handling tests. We're just going down this small stretch of trail. You could definitely use this thing as a normal e-bike. I mean, we just have to set our pedal assist to the speeds that we want. I really like the pedal assist on this bike. I could definitely see myself pedaling this thing out around a lot. Not just sitting on dual motor. The motors are pretty quiet. Some e-bikes like to feel very jumpy on pedal assist, and this is not one of those. But let's see how it does on throttle climbing up this mobility test. Okay. I wouldn't say this is the most modulatable throttle. It is a little hard to do the fine-tune control, but you can definitely navigate some twisties pretty easily without putting your feet down. Well, that's going to be about it for the riding portion of this review. I'm going to catch up with you once I get back to our starting spot. Well, guys, check the link down in the description for the most up-to-date price on this thing. I do recommend this, but I probably would err with a side of caution. Check everything on this bike before you go out on it and make sure everything is working correctly. With these 160mm brakes, if one of them had completely failed while riding, it could have been a really bad and different thing. All right, boys, we have made it back with the Amyet S8. This thing is a beast of a budget e-bike with two 1000 watt motors and a 25 amp 48 volt battery. This thing is a beast. It has bright headlights, hydraulic brakes, a seat that actually allows you to pedal because it's narrow enough, and pedal assist that actually works when you're trying to bike like a normal bike. Overall, I really like this thing. I do have some questions about the quality since I did have to replace this brake lever to be able to get this review out as soon as possible for you guys. And just some general things. I had to tighten down the headset and it still wiggles a little bit more than it really should. I also did notice when I was checking this that they used self-tappers to secure the controller box. Except for this one corner, they decided to use a locking nut. Did they just run out of these and use those instead? I don't know, man. But I have to point out things like this when I'm recommending bikes. Overall, I really like this thing. It's got performance that really is unmatched at this price point. You just got to be careful with bikes like these and stay on top of your maintenance and check everything. I do like that we have passenger pegs. I do like the size of our battery. 25 amp hours is enough. In the next video, I'm going to be swapping this thing over to dual battery and see if that helps with the range and the voltage sag. So join me for that next week. Thank you, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye now.